Hello everyone, my name is Kelly Murphy, and I've decided to do this particular project on the Inuit culture of northern Canada. The Inuits are located primarily in the Northwest Territories of Canada. They can be found in Greenland, also as well as Quebec and Labrador. Now, living conditions for the Inuits is a fairly simple thing. In the winter, their shelters consist of igloos, which we're all pretty familiar with. Considering they had very little building resources up in the north, they had to use what was readily available, which was just a whole bunch of ice and snow. But also in the summer, they'll make tents out of hide, as you can see in the middle picture there. These shelters were pretty bare bones and just used for sleeping and eating and a good way to get out of the elements. Hunting for the Inuits is a huge part of their culture. Excuse me. They hunt and use everything they can from the animal. They'll use bones for building materials and toys and weapons and things like that. Also, obviously, a source of food. They use their fur for their shelter as well as clothing, but they also use the fat from the animal, not only as a source of nutrition, but can use it for things like oil lamps and things like that. So hunting was a really important part of their culture. They will hunt anything that they see on land and water, and they'll hunt things like seal and walrus and whales, as well as caribou, fox, bears, and rabbits. Inuit families are pretty simple. Families usually consist of 5 or 6 people, and family means an awful lot to them. It's a very important part of their culture. Each family is about 5 or 6 people, but then the family then goes out and lives and hunts together with about 5 or 6 to 10 other families. Marriage also is a big deal to them. They do have an occasional arranged marriage, as you'll see in other cultures, but a lot of them are solely up to the two getting married. Their labor structure is kind of typical of what you would think. The men would hunt and build the houses and fix things and things of that nature, whereas the women, they usually stay back at home and they will cook. They also dress any hunted animals. They'll also be responsible for making clothing as well as taking care of the children. The social structure of the Inuits is kind of special. They do not have any one particular being or one particular family that they look up to or that is responsible for overseeing the entire community. They all think of themselves as equals, and they are out to benefit from each other and for each other. They have very little materialistic properties, which makes it easy for them to be all kind of seen as equal. It's kind of whatever you can carry on your back sort of thing, and very few personal items like that. There was a sense of community within the Inuit culture. Food sources like game and fish were considered to belong to everyone, and it was expected that individuals would always help one another when needed. Modern-day Inuits live a little differently than they used to. They live in full-blown houses now with walls and a ceiling and things like that. But they also have commodities such as snowmobiles, heaters, ovens and stoves, and running water. And they also now have kind of full-time jobs to get some kind of steady income to pay for things like internet and gas. So thank you guys. I hope you learned a little bit about the Inuits and take some of that information and share it on with others. Thank you.